Hi guys, how's everybody doing today? I hope you've had a really great week. It's been a long week on my side. Welcome if you're joining me for the first time. My name is Suzio, and every week we have a weekly checking on a Sunday at 7 p.m. It's a place for, hi Anj, it's a place for you to come in and have a chat with us, and it's a space that's a safe space for everybody to come in and share their views. No one's a guru on any particular view, any particular topic, but it's just a place for us to come and just share our hearts. And the heart of the chat is to be able to have great conversations that build, that trigger change, that inspire change. So everybody chips in. It's a community thing. We all speak together and we share with each other. And this week's topic, whew, gender-based violence. I put out the call, which was calling all the good men to come out of the shadows and speak about gender-based violence, because I'm so aware that, so many women haven't seen what we deem as good men, coming out to speak about these things. And so that's why I put it out there. And the heart is, guys, whenever something is happening, whenever you're going to war, you need allies. You need allies. You need people who you can come alongside with, and we do life together. Because life isn't lived in isolation. It's lived in collaboration. So I know this topic, for as a fellow woman, it riles up all of us, because it's enough. Like, so many women are being slaughtered, and we know that when we talk about gender-based violence, yes, it does happen to men. We're not going to say it doesn't, but statistically, the majority of the recipients of this is women, and so it's always women at the forefront. And so when I put that out, it was really to be like, you know what? I know good men. I know great guys. I know really good men who have a zero tolerance for this kind of behavior. And I want us to have conversations with those guys. I want us to start building things with those guys. I know I have brothers in my family. They would kill anybody who tried to do anything to me or any of the females in the family. And unfortunately, what happens in life is, because you're constantly pounded by negativity and just what happens on a day-to-day basis, you really start to ask yourself, are there any good human beings? Are there even any good men? Because women feel like we're just in this by ourselves. And so that's the topic. And guys, it can get heavy. It can get heavy, but we also know to laugh, and we will laugh. I have an awesome person that's coming on to chat about this with me. I see he's here already, and I'll give him an opportunity to introduce himself when he comes on. But to everybody else who's here, the regulars, Ange, I see you. Wupe, I see you. Guys, wherever you are in the world, I always encourage people to say, hey, say hi, and tell us where you are. Like, where are you in the world? Where are you tuning in from the world? And, give us your own opinions. But I definitely want to just say as well that, in this particular forum, we're all about love and energy and growth. And we're all about constructive feedback as well. Hey, Momo. So if that is the energy that resonates with you as well, then you are in the right place. You have found the right place. And so, yeah, I think I'm just going to bring Moses, oh, hi, Philemon. Hi, Momo. I'm going to bring Moses on screen. Bring on camera. Let's add Mosey. Guys, as though we were, how we do every single week. We're going to have a conversation. We are going to have a good conversation here. I'm just waiting for him to come on screen and we'll connect. Hey, Mos.
Oh, hey, what's up?
Your screen is doing the fuzzy thing again.
I'm trying to figure out this lighting thing. Like, yay! I don't know what's happening. But let's see if it gets better.
It's like you're
Ah,
like little fuzziness. Anj,
it's like I'm
Moira, is the sound okay?
okay. Is it like I'm fuzzy? So what's happening now?
I think come closer, let's see. Come closer to the
Okay,
screen.
come closer. Let's see. Try to adjust my light.
Guys, if you can
Being
hear
black.
Moses clearly, please tell me. I just
Uh,
want to make sure that everybody can hear you clearly.
wow. Uh, This when we say being black is gold, so you can't see me. I'm trying to look for light with this.
I think that's good light. You got good light. It's your voice we care
Okay.
about.
Oh wow. Black
It's
is
your
gold.
voice we care about. Let me see, Moira and Anj, can you guys, or Wupe, can you guys hear Moses clearly?
Okay.
Can you hear both of us clearly?
I think I should first go down. See, is that much better? Can everyone see me?
Okay. They say, oh, Benny is here. Moses, Benny is here.
Oh, Uncle Benny, happy Father's Day to you.
Okay, guys. So this is Moses. He's one of the many men that have answered the call, because remember I said, calling all the good men to come out of the shadows and let's speak about, gender-based violence. And from your side, Moses, first of all, I want you to tell me, why did you respond to the call?
Why did I respond to the call? Okay.
Yes.
That's an interesting one. Just to give a personal story, because yes, many of us have grown up almost in the suburbs, not entirely suburbs, but it's in between suburb and upper suburbs. So we had different neighbors who were interesting, from ones who were drunkards and the rest. But I would just like to give a story of one of them. So this guy was an interesting father when he was sober, but a wife beater when he was drunk, right? So it's almost like every night he used to beat his wife, which was interesting. And from an African perspective, no one seemed to care about it. They're like, okay, now that's a family issue. And it turned into one interesting time was when his wife was in her third trimester. He beat her, and she ended up having a miscarriage. That's the only time that the police had to come through. And for me, growing up as a boy, I told myself I would never want to see, number one, my sisters end up being in a situation like that, because I have as many sisters in the house. So I had about 7 sisters in the house. Being the only boy for entirely 16 years, I just grew up with sisters. So I told myself I would never be like who my neighbor was. So in essence, I decided going forward that I would be intentional with everything that I did. So when boys started coming and wanting to date my sisters, I was like, there's no way you're going to date my sister. So I decided to become the lion that I was supposed to be, because my father was up country most of the times. And from then on, I told myself I need to be intentional as I was. So that's just a brief about gender-based violence that happened in my midst. Yeah, so.
Right. Thanks. Hi, Layla. I see everybody, guys. Hi, Benny. Hi, Momo. Hi, everybody who's just tuning in here. So you've just given us a little bit of an understanding as to why you are, that's why you've come on. And I think, Moses, so guys, Moses is a very good friend of mine. He actually is a brother, and we have so many candid conversations. So what we're going to be doing is just having a candid conversation in front of you guys. And he is truly the real deal, in terms of, people who actually respect women and would stand up for a woman, and I really wanted to make sure that, if there were going to be people that were going to speak about this as well, I mean, everybody's welcome to come on, but these are just men that I also trust, because I know that for a lot of people, there are people that you can't trust. And for some women, it's going to be the first time you're ever going to hear a man speak against, gender-based violence, because there's a lot of silence, around it. And it's just difficult. So Moses, maybe you can just give us a little bit about, because Moses is going to be throwing some stats here as well. So a little bit about just kind of your academics and what you're about and what your profession is, so that there's context as we go along. and people are just not thinking,
Okay.
we're just saying things.
Oh well, my name is Moses Ishagi. Yes, and I'm doing a PhD in medicine. That's from University of Cape Town. So I'm focusing on lung rehabilitation, which in essence would come from a place where we have the highest smoking rate in the entire world in South Africa. So we are focusing on a particular thing that is called COPD, which is an obstruction of the lungs gotten from smoking. So in essence, that is my simple academic bit. Aside from that, I am in charge of the fourth years UCT, the biokinetic class. So I teach them at Victoria Hospital. So that's bits and pieces of my academics doing a PhD in medicine. So I come to this platform as a clinician. That also sometimes in the hospital setting we face the clients that come to you and discuss the GBV. So I have, from a clinical perspective, I can only say that I've also experienced that from my clients. So that's what I would say from a clinical perspective. Yeah.
And
I don't know
just
if I'm
give us.
speaking.
No, you're fine. I can hear you clearly. I can hear you, and you're fine. So I also just wanted to find out. So look, we all kind of know what gender-based violence is, but maybe just give us a brief of what actually it is, you know. Also for everybody, I will definitely put up a very simple YouTube clip as well, for what gender-based violence is as well. But yeah, Moses, just give us a little bit of a thingy, just a brief.
Okay.
By the way, Moses, before you start, Layla is teasing you. I'm just saying.
I've already seen white beard and all. Oh, Leila, I forgot to say I'm also going to begin doing my second PhD, so a PhD in theology and one in medicine. So yeah, that explains my beard, heading to be a rabbi. But anyway,
Tell
so
us. Okay.
Oh yes. Just to divide GBV and explain it in its simplest possible way, because there are many definitions of it, I just want to divide it into four major ones. So if we're teaching in class, you'd say gender-based violence. So gender would be two forms. We have the male and female. But right now in the world, we're living with many definitions of gender. So I need to be as careful as I am when I'm saying gender, right? So, but for the purpose of this discussion, I would want to limit it to the female. Yeah, so just dividing it into four, we have gender, the sexual bit of it. GBV would include rape, assault, molestation, inappropriate touching. We have the psychological bit of GBV, which includes harassment, catcalling, that almost all women have experienced from an African perspective, from the guys that are building the ridges to taxi men and the rest. So that would be GBV, catcalling, whistling, and the rest. It falls under psychological, of which we also have bullying. And there's what we call eve baiting. Eve baiting is where women are publicly harassed, one for the way they dress, which also happens in church. That's bits of eve baiting. So if someone comes to church and you tell them cover up, that would definitely fall under GBV. The term for that in church is called eve baiting. So that's a public harassment of women, telling her to cover up for her curves. Like, she's not responsible for her curves. That's what God gave her. So definitely that would fall under it. Yes. So yeah, then we have the physical bit of it, which we have experienced from a black neighborhood, a man coming and just slapping the hell out of his significant other. And from a South African perspective, most have actually led to death. Then we have the social cultural violence, which in turn would come to discrimination, political marginalization, which we have also in church. So yeah, and because I have church, I'll keep on mentioning church because it's one of the places that I'm more familiar with. Yeah. So that would be the simple definition, divided into four: sexual, psychological, physical, and social cultural. Yeah.
You know, and the thing is, I just want people to understand, you know, as we have this conversation, I can hear feedback, you know. I hope it's going to disappear. No, it's fine. It was more on my side, you know. I think, you know, guys, because the conversation is so broad, there's going to be just different things. If I see something in the comment section that you want us to also talk about, we'll discuss about it, because there's so many different kind of avenues that you can go through with this particular topic. But you did mention there's something that's really interesting, and that's that whole church perspective. You know, you called it Eve baiting, was it?
Yeah, if baiting, yeah.
Yeah, because you know, I don't know if people aware of it, because you know, it's like you said, it's not somebody's fault, you know, if they're curvaceous. And you know this personally from what we've spoken about, that I just feel
Yeah.
that, you know, men you need to control yourself. It's not our responsibility, you know, to be dressing a certain way. And I think in terms of just the way they are raised, they need to be raised right. You know, why are men not? You need to pull yourself towards yourself, because maybe, you know, and I'm just being saucy here, at the end of the day, we'll end up giving you, you know, those little masks that you can sleep with if you cannot control yourself when you are in church. But you know, I can go on and on about that. But like, you know, maybe you can just expand about that a little bit, and maybe why does that, you know, happen, you know, and what happens, Moses? Because I've also said calling good men. Like, what happens? What do you do as a good guy? Where how do you address these issues in your own kind of circles with other men? What does that look like?
I think it's from church up. What would call the if baiting comes from two places, right? So we have a divide. We have the so-called elders that we have in church that have. So for the modern person that comes to church, most of them would say, okay, this dress is inappropriate, please cover up and the rest. And it's interesting that it actually comes from both the female and the male. So they tell you cover up, do this and do this. But it's so weird that actually that happened. So it definitely comes from a whole cultural perspective. So from all our different cultures and the rest, when you go to certain parts of the world, you're not supposed to be in a certain way, you're not supposed to do this. And there's an example of Kenya where we went to minister, and they refused the females to enter church. They said it's only men who enter church, and the ones that had hair like yours were termed as prostitutes. Now, that's interesting, and it definitely comes from church. So what then happens? So, and giving an example from a South African setting, like we discussed yesterday, we have 73 denominations that all want to have Jesus in their midst. So if we have 73 interesting denominations that come, you have such things come up in church. So the if baiting is actually both from the males and the females. So are we supposed to be catcalling them? Are we supposed to be discussing how curvaceous they are or how not curvaceous they are? Because it's weird that if we have such discussion, so why would you tell a female that her to say hello to my mother? I saw her here on. Hello, mommy, from Pretoria. But anyways, yeah.
So I mean, I hope everybody heard you clearly, because your line went a bit fuzzy, you know.
Okay.
You know, and the thing is, okay, so Moses, I'm just going to read some questions, some things that are being thrown out here. I don't know, can you read out? Can you also see the comments? It says, can we also talk about how women are viewed in the African society as property for men's pleasure? Whenever she expresses about the physical and emotional abuse to anyone, she's not taken seriously. As well as, can we talk about how women are viewed in the African society? As okay, I don't know, there isn't anything else left in there, but I think these are conversations we've also had. Yeah.
Okay, so then that would definitely, so those two questions would have to be covered in the stats that I'm going to give. So should we go there?
I think let's go there. And Moses, another thing that we've spoken, because we children of the church, we come from, like, for a lack of a better word, we understand kind of church dynamics. And for me, like I've said to my friends, a lot of them, that the church has been given a really bad rap, because not all people are crazy or are weaponizing the Bible, you know, because there are a lot of people weaponizing the Bible and also changing it for their own crazy agendas and pushing their own agendas. And, you know, sometimes, you know, people can be like sheep to the slaughter because you're not reading the word for yourself. You're not understanding yourself as well. And, you know, church has been given a bad rap because it's not everybody. However, you know, there are things that should be done to kind of bring awareness, and people need to be, you know, the book needs to be thrown at people. Like, what's your viewpoint on that?
Okay, so I'll just give it in and just cover everything in that place. Am I being heard? Can everyone hear
Just
me?
be your honest self. I just need you to be authentic. Yeah, let's go.
Okay, they can't call out each other because they're all guilty. Yes, I'll also address that. Leila, I'm coming right there. So from an African perspective, we have 54 nations in Africa, right? So 54 nations, but for today's focus, I would like to only stay with SADC. So that's about 16 countries. So some of the stuff is going to, I don't know how to bring it out, like cause it to be nauseated, but forgive me for that. So let's start with Angola. Yes, Angola, home of Kizomba. It's such an intimate dance, guys. Kizomba, I would like to do that at my weddings. It's so intimate, it looks so lovely, like people love themselves in Kizomba. The partners are in rhythm, looking at each other, and you'd definitely think that so much love is in there that the man would actually appreciate the woman. Interestingly, that in Kizomba, the woman actually leads, which is an interesting thing. But aside from the Kizomba that we have in Angola, statistics in Angola show that 35% of the women have experienced GBV in their lifetime. That's 35%, which is interesting. And of which we have about 30% of child marriages. That's just in Angola. So let me leave it for you, just to sink in. Now, just heading straight to Botswana. Interestingly, in the small nation of Botswana, we have about 67% of the women that have experienced abuse, which is more than double the global average. That's just our neighbor here in Botswana. Yeah. So moving ahead to Comoros, such a small island, but 17% of the women in Comoros have had an episode of violence in their lifetime, and this starts at 15 years, right? So women in Comoros experience beating, rape, discrimination, exploitation, and this is within their family, right? And interestingly, among the married women in Comoros, the most frequent reason given for the husband act of violence would include her burning the food in the house, her arguing with the husband, and going without notifying her husband. So it's interesting that she is policed at every place. So from her cooking to who she talks to and the rest, and this is just in Comoros. Right now, moving to DRC, right, yes, Mr. Benin. DRC, so in the eastern part of Congo, UNICEF shows that there were 18,000 rape cases in 2008. 18,000 is a big number, right? And that caters for 75% of the rape cases in the entire world, right? So one of the soldiers in Congo was interviewed. So he said he raped 53 women, right? So they asked him, why did you rape the 53 women? And all he said was, well, I felt pleasure in it. So it's interesting that someone rapes someone's sister, someone's mother, and says, yeah, so that's just DRC. Right? So moving over to our neighbors here in Swaziland, which we call Eswatini now, right? 1 in 3 women will experience one form of sexual violence. And that means in Swaziland alone, Eswatini, 48% of the women have experienced GBV in their lifetime. Right. Moving over to Lesotho, a recent survey in Lesotho shows 86% of the women in Lesotho experience GBV. Now, this is just from an African perspective. Right. Well, they have everything to be able to come to do that. It's interesting that 86% of the women in Lesotho have experienced GBV. Yes, moving across to Madagascar. What we have from Madagascar, all we know is there's the famous song, I like to move it, move it. Like we've seen, I like to move it, move it. But beyond that, it's interesting what happens in Madagascar, because all we know about Madagascar is the Lion King, I like to move it, and the penguins. But in Madagascar alone, right? Madagascar alone, a woman has no right to express herself. Women are not considered members of a society. All right. In 2011, 30% of the women experienced GBV in Madagascar. But all the world shows us is, I love to move it, move it. If you ask someone about Madagascar, all they'll tell you is penguins. No one will tell you about GBV there. So that's just showing what society deals with. I don't want to mention all countries because it's interesting, but I'll just leave it at that because of time, right? So South Africa, I don't even want to go there because it's interesting. But the country that I would like to speak to, because you're from there, is Zim. Just to continue. So in Zim, yes, Zim, 1 in 3 women have suffered GBV in the last 15 years, right? And this starts from the age of 15. All right. In Zimbabwe, the commission says that 22 women are raped daily in Zimbabwe. 22 women are raped daily in Zimbabwe, right? That means every 75 minutes, a woman is being raped in Zimbabwe. So if we're to count right now, what's the time right now in South Africa? That's 1930. So in the next 75 minutes, a woman is going to be raped in Zimbabwe, right? And that's how bad it is from just a society perspective and the rest. And these are the stats that we have. And if anyone has the stats, if anyone wants the stats, I can just give it to you and explain. And so one would ask, where does this come from? Number one, it comes from society, right? Now, just dealing with society, let's first discuss Pornhub, right? Because somehow everyone has either watched pornography, been exposed to pornography in all various ways. So TV, adverts, and the rest. So last year alone, there were 42 billion views on Pornhub. 42 billion, right? Now, if you're to put it in stats, that means at any one time, because we're 7 billion people in the world, that means at every single time, Pornhub was watched 6 times by every human. That's what it means. And interestingly, there was a petition that was done on Pornhub saying that they show hardcore sex, that's violent sex. Petition was done last year, of which there was a 15-year-old that went missing. So when this petition was done, they actually found out that Pornhub had shown videos of her being raped, right? And that's where the whole thing came from. And this is just society. Pornhub is making so much money, but no one is calling them out, right? That's just Pornhub. Let's move over to the games, right? So we have this whole issue of PlayStation and Xbox, and there's a game that is called Grand Theft Auto. Now, in Grand Theft Auto, it's interesting that you can actually have what we call an avatar. An avatar would mean a character, of which you are given the right to decide who comes on. So a study was done in the UK that 12-year-olds were actually choosing to be naked as an avatar. Literally meaning, if you're naked as an avatar, you have the right to go and rape the other person on. So this is virtual rape, which is being encouraged. Now, that is just from a society perspective. Moving over to the church, where people have been marginalized and the rest. So from society, it's all broken down in all this, from catcalling to putting them down and the rest. So, and that is just from church. Now, still moving over to Zim, let me just give the stats of Zim. Now, the parliament of Zim has 24% women in its assembly. Zimbabwe Defense Forces has about 0% representation of women, right? And the Supreme Court that is supposed to call out and apprehend the people that are doing GBV has only 25% females. Now, if you have 25% females that are supposed to cover for the women that are being raped and the rest, who's going to represent them? It means that you actually have 75% of the actual perpetrators being in the courts of law. So what happened? And that is from a society perspective, and it all boils down to the individual and the man. Like I keep on
sorry
saying
to
this.
cut you off. So
Yeah.
I want to. Sorry, Moses. Because I'm those stats are just they're horrendous, and unfortunately, men are the common denominators in this whole situation. And like I'm saying, guys, not all men are evil, and hence why it's important for me that people see that there are men that think differently. There are men that don't condone this kind of behavior. And that's why we're having this conversation so people can see something different. And there's some questions here as well, and which is why do you think men in church are not addressing this topic with their own men? Could it be because the churchmen are themselves involved in such abuse? What are your thoughts? And by the way, Moses is not the representative for all men, but he's going to give his truth based on what he feels and what he sees. Because why are men not saying, or some?
Why are we not calling this out? Let me just give the stats of South Africa. So the South African stats show that a 15-year-old boy would have experienced about 20,000 pornographic softcore movies, right? So that's a lot, right? 15 years, 20,000. So this boy literally comes to church. Now, in the church setting where he's supposed to be called out, 40% of the clergy in church are actively engaging in sex, raping women, hiding beatings of women. Because a woman comes to you, your clergy, then you tell her, oh, God bless you, this is a demon. No, it's not a demon. It is a man that needs to be taken to the police. And most of the clergy in our country are self-professed people. They say they're men of God. They're calling themselves prophets and the rest. So they literally have no way of being able to call out all the other men. And it all comes from a place where, number one, we need to call ourselves out. Like if someone has raped someone, there is no use for you praying for them. You need to take them to the courts of law, because in that place, that's where. And if you are involved in the rest, you need to be called out. And if we do not call this out, then it becomes an issue. Yesterday, I had a friend of mine texting me and telling me, oh, this GBV is so demonic, we need to pray about it. I told him, stop right there. There's nothing demonic about that. It is you that is calling it a demon. So you need to first go check yourself in the mirror and say, am I actually dealing with a demon, or I am encouraging these people we call so-called men of God in the church? And aside from that, if we were to look at church, I teach in Sunday school. We only have about 3 men in Sunday school, right? Now, a normal boy child in Sunday school has no exposure to what it means for a father to love a daughter, a boy to be corrected, and the rest. So the only view that they have is the female view and the rest. So men keep on doing all these weird things. And like I said yesterday, it all begins with a messed up family, right? So a messed up family goes to church, which becomes a messed up church. A messed up church is in a city, which becomes a messed up city. Messed up city is in a province, which is a messed up province. Messed up province is part of a nation, which is then messed up. The nation becomes a messed up world. So it all comes to. And aside from that, it's so weird that from an African setting, we have so many things. We keep on saying this man of God is my only representation to God. No. If someone is messed up in church, they are messed up, and this is what we are dealing with. We have a systemic rot in church that people have been put at a place where there is no accountability. And from an accountability perspective, if we look at the African churches itself, there's so much nepotism in it that a church leader has a wife that is part of the leadership, his brother that is part of accounting. Now, how do you then call out such people? It's very hard for them, and they literally do not have accountability partners. And I think for us men, one of the major things that we need from a church perspective is accountability partners. I told you yesterday, I have my friend Arthur Pio. I called him today and I was telling him, Arthur Pio, thank you for being a good father. Now, if Arthur calls me and tells me, Ishagi, how are you? I'll tell him everything. I'll tell him, Arthur, I've suffered with this, I've done this, and I've done this. And I'll call him out at any one time. Even before he got married, I told him, Arthur, number one, you are playing for women. You are a Christian man. This is not allowed. You need to choose who you want to love. These people are not statistics that you play around with. We do not have a place where we call out people from a church perspective. So it's interesting. So and the church keeps quiet about the violence that is going on, from the psychological GBV violence to the actual physical violence that is happening in church. All we say, okay, now pray. And it's interesting that we use the Bible as a weapon. We say divorce is not allowed, like once you're married. My friend, if he's beating you, leave him because he's an idiot. I'll say it. If I'm to leave church, thank you. But I cannot allow someone to be beaten, and all I'm telling them, I'm praying for you. Maybe there's a demon from his family. It comes from a heritage of all these other things. We need to seek out his father who used to beat. No, like leave him. And that's it. And we keep on encouraging abuse and always say, let's pray about it. How do you fast about GBV? Take him to the police. In North Korea, some of them are castrated, but I don't want to say such things in this platform. So we have such things, like call them out in church. If we don't call them out, then what happens?
Yeah, because guys, I think people are forgetting when it comes to church. We've got an echo, but hopefully it'll go away. When it comes to things like church, it's meant to be a safe haven. You know what I mean? You're running away from some fire. You're not trying to run into another set of fire. And, you know, I see Leila put, I personally know of many abuses caused in church, but I've never seen how the church dealt with it in a manner that held the man accountable. It's everything, it's patriarchy. You know what I mean? Everything that happens is to serve man. Please cover up because the men are going to see you. Well, I mean, why isn't the conversation about learning how to have self-control? Why isn't the conversation about how to be a good father, how to be a good brother? You know, I don't even know. What do men even talk about at their men's meetings? You're a man. You tell me, because I've never been to a man's meeting. Are people having productive conversations down there?
It's interesting that when was it? In the beginning of COVID, I was so tired of being sent. Let's pray, let's fast, let's do all these other things. I told one of the group leaders in the men's team, like, I'm so tired of your BS. I'm sorry to say BS here, but yes. So I told him, I'm so tired of your BS. All you have sent me is, let's pray about this, let's pray about this. There's nothing constructive that you have sent me. You haven't called me to find out where I'm staying. If I were to die here, you would not know who my next of kin is, how I'm living, am I living in sin, am I doing all these other things? And we do not have that. But I would also say there are certain men that have decided to be intentional about their lives. I have 10 of my friends, right? I have Daniel Loom in the UK. I have Arthur in Uganda. I have Kamese in Uganda. I have Fabian in Congo and the rest. And you see, for us, it's much more productive. So when we come, there are 5 questions that we always ask. Who are you? Where are you? What are you doing? Are you in the will of God? Are you protecting what you are supposed to be doing? Are you still in your purpose, right? And that conversation then comes to all other things. I'm struggling with porn. I'm struggling with this. I'm doing this and this. And if you do not have those conversations as men, then it becomes hard. It's interesting that men rarely are vulnerable to each other. And we're only vulnerable in places like a bar. Like, you'll go and tell all your weird secrets to a stranger that you don't know in a pub, but you can't go and tell your brother, look here, my guy down there is misbehaving. Every time I see a female, this is how I behave. Stuff like that. Like, my guy is always looking for network all along. And you see, stuff like that. So unless we have intentional people, and the interesting thing is, if you I don't want to call it a foreign country, it's very hard for you to have people that come in and have a close. You have to be intentional about the people you call family. In South Africa, I have Benny. Like, I'll call Benny anytime and tell him, Benny, look here. this, but do we have certain men like that in our lives that will call us out, right? So that would be it from my side. And the interesting thing is, I do not like what happens sometimes in church, because they have the council of elders as men that are low, that everything they tell you, they just shut you down. If you try to say something constructive, then you're always shut down, and it all comes to patriarchy and all these other things that you cannot fully express your view, what you think is wrong, and the rest. So, and aside from that, I will not waste my time to join people that are just telling me pray about what? I'm sure God has had so many of our prayers during this time, but we're not calling ourselves out. Stuff like that.
Leila wants me to stop my music. Leila, you're here trying to bully me when I'm busy playing my music. This is my thing, girl. I have background music. Look at this girl coming in here with her what. I'll reduce the volume, my darling, for you.
Leila is my sister.
I know, you know. It seems that a lot of people are weighing in on church here. It says, I personally know of many abuses caused in church, but I've never, okay, we've seen that. You know, guys, at the end of the day, I think just call a spade a spade. I think the church needs to do better. You can't have a section of people, you know, because I have seen, and like I've said, you know, when it comes to church, it's not all guys that are bad. You're from church. I see Charlie here. He's also from church. I think I saw Olivier as well. He's also from church. There is a pocket of men that want to call things and also want to address things, but it just does feel like it's not enough. You know, it's an entire system that is just, there's just no accountability. Men don't want to have the hard conversations, because it's very suspicious for me if you're a man in the church and you don't want to discuss these things openly. What is happening at home to my sister? What kind of abuse is going on there? And then we all come to the church and we're smiling, which is also, you know, that's just a whole other thing. But guys, you know, if you're watching this and you're from a church, if you're in a position of leadership, you have to do better. You have to do better. When you look at the women that are seated there, you've got to do better. I remember somebody's husband said, my friend's husband says, women should just boycott church. Then we'll see how the church runs, because we're not seemingly being represented well. I'm just saying. Let's see, what are the comments here? Okay. All right. Everybody is good. Okay. Guys, if you have any questions or you want to weigh in, please, feel free. Like I've said, you know, we're having a discussion here, and the whole purpose about having a discussion is hopefully it triggers some kind of change, because change has to come. And for me, what is very strong for me is that I know good guys. I know men that just don't tolerate this kind of behavior. I know guys who also, from a church perspective, have had to leave the church because for them it's nonsensical, because people are not addressing these issues. You know, they are just pushing them under the carpet, and we could go on and on and on and on about those kind of things. But let me just see what we cannot continue to be. See now, Moses, because your light is so bright, some of my comments I can't even read. Ange just put something there. Can you read it from your side? Okay, that's better. We cannot continue to be religious and political without being practical. Women want to see men in action, protecting us. Absolutely. So Moses, who is the spokesman right now for men, what are the things that men can practically do? Hey, my brother, thank you for throwing yourself on the sword, throwing yourself. What are the practical things, according to you, that you think needs to start happening? Let's start, let's say, from a church perspective and then also societal, but maybe the two are intertwined. You know, what is your 2 cents on this?
Okay. So from a church perspective, it all comes down to the small bits that we need to teach the boy child in the church, and it all comes with involvement of the men. Like, the people that take the children to church are females, right? The women that lead Sunday school are females. So what do the men do in church? They just come, sit, and leave. And unless that changes, it will be very, very problematic. 2, we need to reach a place where the children are, because children are comfortable, like they know this person is good and this person is bad. And unless you teach the boys that this is what must be done, it becomes that. Let me just give an example of me. So I have interesting people, right? So my children are interesting. Some call me uncle, some call me Moses, and the rest. So it depends. So I had an interesting discussion with the girls, right? So it's about 10 and 11 and 12. So they told me, Uncle Moses, what do you think about this boy? I'm like, okay, show me the picture. So she shows me the picture. I'm like, okay. So she says, I want him to be my boyfriend. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. I'm like, okay. How old are you? So what is he telling you? First example. So she said, okay, he's telling me this and this, this and that. So I asked her, so do you think that is actually true? She said, no, but I think he's cute and the rest. Then I told her, okay, now look here. I don't think this is right for you. This is wrong and the rest. And we do not have people having these candid discussions with the children. And from a boy's perspective, we had a discussion with the boys where I was telling them, look here, if you erect, this is what an erection means. You see the bishop up there, he does this every morning, it's up. Uncle Moses, this is what happens. But when a female comes and you erect, this is also what happens. So first, if it happens that way, you don't have to act on it, because in essence, this is what happens. And we do not have these discussions with the children, because one of the things that we don't talk about in church is sex. Like, in the 10 years I've been at church, how many pastors have come out and say, let's talk about sex in church? What sex means to a man, what sex means to a woman, and all these other things. And it's interesting that if we keep those things deep down there, then it becomes hard.
Yeah.
Right? And an average child needs to start having candid discussions about sex from 8 years. Now, we are waiting for school. Now, school gives our children rubbish for 5 days a week. And Uncle Moses only has 2 hours to undo all that rubbish that we have at school. So if we don't have these candid discussions at church, and that is just from a grassroots level.
Sorry, Moses, I'm going to pause you. Moses, I'm going to pause you because there's a question here that's come through. Ooh, sorry, the echo. It says, Moses, why do you think pastors and their wives keep pushing the submission narrative instead of the necessity of equality and mutual respect?
Why do they keep pushing that narrative? It's because they do not have an understanding of what scripture is. Let's just put it bluntly. They are idiots. And there's no other way to bring it out. Okay, I'm sorry for using that word, but it's going to begin coming out. Because the literal meaning of submission, it means they haven't fully understood what submission is. Okay, from a church perspective, let's now go back. Now, when Adam recognizes Eve the first time, he recognizes himself in her, right? So, and that sets the tone for what a relationship is. Co, not under, not above, right? So Adam recognizes Eve and he says, Eve, and he calls her woman. Out of me she came, right? And he sets a precedent for that. He says, now, she was beautiful, right? And from there, the whole narrative goes on. And it's interesting, later on, Paul also speaks about the same thing. He says, husbands, love, right? And the very first aspect of submission is, unless you are submitted to God as a man, it will be very hard for you to love the woman in that aspect. So, unless a man is fully submitted to God, he'll have issues with a woman submitting to him. Or he'll always bring that whole narrative, you need to be down and below. The Bible never says that you're supposed to be below a man or something like that. It's interesting that if we're to go down to its truest essence, woman was never created for man. Woman was created for God, right? Elaborated, right? God realized that this man was alone and he said, let me bring someone to help him. Right, so in the first essence, it was man and God. Then woman comes to help him. Literally meaning the man was weak. Let me just put it that way. And he needed help. Right. So from a way of it changing to a man is stronger until now, somehow it lost its way. And if any bishop or pastor comes and tells you that, oh, why are you supposed to submit, you do not have of what the word submission means. I don't know if I got it out right, because it's, if we need to go back to Christ fully come out as he was, he went to the lowest bits of it. So unless his deepest, then he will, it means to love God. It's usually love. Why would you want someone to submit to you? If you love her, thing will be okay to do anyways. So for the men that want to submit to them, don't love themselves. And if this man doesn't love himself, because there's no one who loves someone who's representative of him. Something like that. And I would like to say they're idiots. Angie wants to say something.
So let's demystify that, because all girls are hearing, all women are hearing is submit, and what it rings like in a woman's, what the constant trauma that a woman is getting is that the Bible is weaponized. You are beneath. You don't necessarily have an opinion. And I know the young bloods here, the Laylas and all these other young people that are here, these young bloods who are doing marriage differently. So what is the correct, can we clear the lens so that people know what this thing is meant to look like? And I know Benny's probably going to come in sometime next week as well, because Benny's married. You're married to Echu. I've seen your marriage. I've seen what a godly marriage looks like, because people are out there doing their own thing, pushing their own agendas for their own selfish reasons. So what is it meant to look like, Moses? What's good meant to look like?
What is good? Repeat your question again. What is
good
a good man
to look like in terms of a relationship, in terms of marriage? If we're talking about submission, what does that look like? Now that you've explained what submission is.
Okay, can I first leave Angie to come on?
Who?
Because she wants to come on. Angie.
No, she can't come on.
Oh.
No.
Okay, cool. Now, should we open the Bible to Ephesians and bring out what submission is?
Mm-hmm.
In its truest sense, because I need to have what it usually means.
Yeah.
Okay. So just give me some time.
So guys, I'm seeing your comments. Layla, you're so salty. Hey, Layla. I love Layla. She's such an instigator.
Can you continue first while I look for the...
Okay. So it says here, Ange, now please speak to this too. We want to see practicality in current events. When your sister or neighbor has been abused, what should men do apart from teaching our young ones? Okay, we'll address that. I know you don't want to come on. On his side, it's probably looked like you wanted to come on. Hence, no. I know. Just ignore anything that you see there. So, Moses, did you hear that? Because once you answer this, what we want are now, because we want to finish this, and what we want to leave are very clear kind of action points about what men can be doing to start to slowly chip away at this issue, practically, what needs to be done. Are you good?
Okay, let's leave this one because it's a theological thing. So just replying to Angie, it's interesting that as a boy child then, seemingly there was nothing much you could do, because number one, this is a big man, right? Okay, so looking at an 8-year-old Moses trying to do these things, but later on, as I grew older, there was one time where we ganged up against him. We said, now we're going to sort out this fool, right? So we made sure that he went to prison, so he was in prison for about 6 months, and his wife actually left him. So that was one of the practical things that we did. So from a place of actually us being able to help the women that have been abused, that would be a practical step. Number one, calling out these men. Number two, giving them the justice that they deserve. But like I said, from looking at giving an example of Zim, we only have 25% representation, right? And we have 75% of the perpetrators. Now, you need to deal with these idiots at any one time. From a church perspective, we have people that are covering up for their church brothers, right? So then, do you call them out? Do you beat them? What discussions do you have with them? Because you need evidence, you need all these other things. So from a practical bit of it, number one, I would say involve the police at all costs. And number two, you need to have people that you trust at all times to tell something, and they have an action to that effect. So it's almost like if you need a clinician, call Moses. He'll be able to guide you, because from a clinical perspective, I'm able to direct you to the right people, things like that. And from a place of church in itself, we need to come to a place where we actually have people that are qualified to be in certain places. Now, someone should not be a counselor in church because they have been in church for 25 years. Do they have an education of being a counselor? Do they know how to deal with GBV? Do they know what to do with a raped victim, other than laying holy hands on them? Because we do not have this in our traditional church settings, then it becomes very hard from that perspective. And in these circles, when someone comes in with that issue, is the counselor there? Is there some other person that is able to give a clinical perspective that is supposed to? Is there anyone that is supposed to give? It's almost like a law. So you need certain criteria, and that's from a practical bit of it. So I don't know if I've covered anything.
I think you've covered some, definitely. And, I think what's important for me as well, because it just irks me. This irks me when, and you are right, that, men cover for men in church. I don't know who you're praying to be honest. I just don't get it. Who you're praying to, if you are covering up for a man that you know he is a perpetrator. I mean, just stop the prayer, guys. Let's just stop the hypocrisy, because women are dying. And what I don't understand is, people, I mean, men sometimes want to act like you were birthed by another man. Is there no empathy or compassion? I don't know. It really irks me, and I'm just trying to hold myself here as well. So I see here, I just want to read a couple of comments here that have come through. It says, just Leila Sosi, I've never understood why, if you're a secure man, you need submission as part of your toolkit to function in a relationship. It doesn't make sense. Like you said, Moses, I think our brothers need to check themselves. Leila, men need to report each other and expose each other and believe the victim the first time round. Why must I, who has been abused, now bring proof of my abuse? 100%. Ange says, what about pushing for policies that tackle the violence? Many men are in high places, but they are not raising their voices to push for this. I'm trying to reach the president's office to catch their attention, but where are the men to help? Yeah, I mean, that's really honest. I mean, that's a good thing. But, if we're going to be candid as well, what are those men doing as well? Because I find generally when you are silent on a topic, I find it very suspicious. I wonder what's happening in some of these homes. It's just suspicious behavior, if you asked me. It's very, very suspicious. And Leila says, and this confidentiality in church and shrinks offices should not be extended to perpetrators. People just need to be reported at the end of the day. Follow the law of the land. People need to be reported because people are dying. People are dying, guys. And when somebody is telling you that they've been abused or something has happened, let's pray and take the person to the police. Let's pray and action. Prayer plus action equals we are winning, because this is an epidemic. It's a problem. And we are meant to be safe spaces. When you go to church, it's meant to be a safe space. Unfortunately, it's not always the case. And like I've also said, not everybody is the same because people are different. People have their own agendas. Same thing like when people go to the police station. We've seen this, we've heard the stories. I've run to the police station. I even read a story of a girl who got raped, went to the police station, and then got raped again. I mean, it's horrendous. It's just horrendous, and it's awful. So any parting remarks? Anybody else have anything that they want to ask Moses there? Throw it in. But Moses, in terms of pushing, for me, what I really want people, and I hope that the people that have watched have seen, because for me, it's very important that we change the narrative. I'm not about negativity. I already see what's happening in society. It is very, very important for me that women as well get to see that there are some good men out there. The thing though, and what I would truly say to all these so-called good men, in fact, you are good men, not so-called, you are good men, at least the ones I know, is you need to use your voice. You need to, you need to really come out of the shadows. You need to use whatever is available to you. And how does that look like for you? Is it social media? Is it calling out your guys when you are with men, and also in private? It's, you've got to stand for something. You have to, because people are dying, women are dying. Layla says, let's call it out from day one, instead of waiting 10 years later of brutal, heartless, and dehumanizing abuse towards women. And the most shocking thing is it comes from men. They know an uncle, yeah, a cousin or a friend. I know this. And you are right, Layla, because I also know this personally, and no shame, I'm very vocal. I mean, even in my own family, they know. I mean, my brothers would go to war for me. They don't tolerate, absolutely, they don't tolerate anything. When I spoke to my older brother about this particular topic, but he's extra, guys, please note, he's just like, I don't understand how this is a conversation, because where's castration on the table? An eye for an eye, because this is ridiculous. We can't have these kind of things happening to women. And we know this because I'm a girl child, where your uncles won't say anything. They want to protect. They want you to understand. I'm not trying to understand anything. There is a problem, and people now need to change their ways. And then there are ways of putting pressure on the system as well, like Anja said, to try and get change happening. But it starts at grassroots. You men have got to call out other men. They have to. And if that means you have very few friends, then that's cool too, because you can't be surrounded by these predators and call them friends and break bread with them. They're predators. And if you don't call it out, you better not leave your own daughter with some of these guys, because anybody and everything is fair game. Okay, end rant.
Okay.
Sorry.
Should I say my parting comment?
Yes, give us your party comment. Sorry.
Okay, so it's just an interesting thing. So we need to change it from an African perspective. In Ethiopia, I didn't say, there's an Ethiopian proverb that says, if you really love your wife, you have to beat her. Now that is problematic in its sense. This is in Ethiopia, right? In Swaziland, or even here in South Africa, the woman is called umfazi. Umfazi, if you were to go down to it, the deeper roots of it, it means that she takes secrets to her grave. That is problematic from a society perspective. That means that violence literally would be accepted from a cultural perspective. So if you beat her, she takes a secret to the grave. And that's just the meaning of umfazi. Something. And it's interesting that in a country like South Africa, we say condomize, condomize, condomize. It's easier for the youth to talk about condoms, but for the bigger elderly men, if you talk about a condom, he'll beat you up. Because what is a condom? So stuff like this needs to change. And from a place of, the sad reality of it is that women are predators. We're actually predators. We come with 2 tails, 3 tails, and 4 tails. We're prehensile tails. We are like chimpanzees and lions and the rest. And if we do not call ourselves out, it becomes very problematic. And for the church brothers, remember, your bae is God's first before she's yours. Right? That's one thing. And even if she becomes yours, she is God's first before And the thing is, we fear to connect as brothers. We only connect in a PlayStation, which is like what, 5 kilograms. We fear a 60-kilogram woman at home that calls us out. Now we need to deal with our fragile egos at home. Like, not everything has to be violent. You can actually have a candid discussion with someone. We fear to connect, right? And interestingly, I don't want to just put it out there, but if you look at it from a theological perspective, female genitalia is a garden. The way it's wrapped, it's a garden, and you need to work hard to be able to till the garden and do all these other things. Do not force yourself on a woman, because remember, and that's how God put it, because you need to till the land and do all these other things. And if you do not teach this to the young men, if you do not teach them to protect, then it's going to be hard. And for us, church brothers, we need to call ourselves out. If you're an idiot, you're an idiot. And I won't repent for calling you an idiot. So, literally, that would be me. And the church needs to discuss this major thing that is leading to all this. It's that part of us not having self-control. Just because you're, for no better English word, your guy is looking for network all around doesn't mean that you actually respect him at that level. Like, he's looking, Vodacom, are you a service provider or you're a man of God? Like, just because it's up there does not mean that you need to be a service provider. And I'm sorry for using this language here, but it gets so passionate. Like, when you wake up in the morning, how, like what's wrong with you?
Thanks, Anj.
Yeah. And those would just be, the thing is, we have such fragile egos as men that we need to sort out the fragile egos that you have. If someone calls you out, you need to be able to listen. I used to engage with my sisters. I was the stronger one, I was the elder one, but I came to their level, right? And we need to be, I didn't even speak about the gender roles that we need to put off, like your boy playing a PlayStation while his sister is picking the cup for him. What are you trying to teach the boy child? That all he has to do is play the PlayStation, take his stuff. When he's dirty, his sister takes it, does his laundry and the rest. No, it's not supposed to be like that. And unless we change that from a home setting, it becomes very hard, because how are you going to change a man that has been raised by an idiot for 25 years? If you did
it's
start,
so much. It's so much. Yeah, I mean, and not to mention, we've discussed this as well. How girls have these kitchen parties, and my gosh, it is 101 how to look after the home, 101 how to help a man. I'm Zambian, I know what that looks like. It is 101 men, and I don't know what's happening when you guys are also getting together. These so-called bachelor parties. I'd like to hope that the new generation and the new bloods are also being taught on how to actually treat a woman. She's not your property. We're working together cohesively to build something, and that's a whole different, discussion. But Moses, I love you and I appreciate you, because I know your heart, and I know that I hope for the people who watch this that they also are able to see there's a different breed of men. I know that it's not something we see often. We don't even hear them speak often. If you're not lucky enough or are exposed enough to have certain people that are truly amazing, I'm very blessed that way, that I have really amazing, good men around me who love their wives, who love their family. They believe in raising their kids right, because they are aware that should my son or my daughter wish to get married one day, I have to groom this child so that they are a respectable, presentable adult, especially if it's a boy child, that he respects women, that he honors women, because that's just the way things should be. We can't have the pressure continuously on girls to carry the burden of absolutely everything. It's not realistic. It is sure as hell not godly. So don't let anybody lie to you with regards to church as well, because I do feel church has been given a bad rap. I'm a child of church, And I know when I was growing up in Zimbabwe and even here in SA, you know, the men of God that run the churches, I have seen how they treat their wives with grace, with love, with respect. That's what I have seen. And that's what should be happening. But in any society, there will also be wolves in sheep's clothing. It is what it is. But what we're saying is, let's just call a spade a spade. When we see the wolf, you've got to call it out. And if that means shame, they are the biggest contributor wherever you are, and they will leave the church, then so be it. Because rather we all be safe and we are all flourishing in marriage than worrying about who's got the bigger pockets and who can do this or who can add that. People must be held accountable because we can't have double standards. So Moses, I love you. I appreciate you. I thank you for coming here. I mean, you are the real deal. You are the real deal. And for everybody else that's been here, Layla and all, thanks guys. Love you guys, Momo, you know, Ange, everybody else, Wupe, everybody else. Thank you so, so much, guys. Really, really love and appreciate you and also for your contributions. And I really hope people have learned something today. Mozi, do you want to say anything before I finish?
Uncle Benny, I hope I'll still be a Sunday school teacher after this, and Pastor Olivier, please. I hope I'll still be, because I've seen my elders here. I saw Crown Fontaine. I'm like, oh, I'm in trouble. But at the end of it all, we have so many excuses. We have so many excuses as men because we are total hypocrites. Like we keep on hiding our fears and the rest. And open confrontation does not mean that you beat a woman because you are stronger than her. Stuff like that. So, and this we need to deal with it from a much bigger level. The interesting thing was what happened in South Africa when the men were twerking for a PlayStation. It was interesting. So people called out Pume. They said, "What? Why did you do this to the men?" People are like, "But you guys also do this. Like you make women talk around for all this stuff. So if a woman does this, like what happened?" So we need to have these honest discussions with our genders, because at the end of it all, we end up being toxic to ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? Can a sister trust you and tell you, Moses, this is what is going on in my life, and you're able to actually go and confront her boyfriend, go and sort her out, be able to be the protector? If she comes to you and she's desperate and she needs a space to stay at, will you be able to be the man that you are, or you? So, and these are the conversations that need to be happening in church. I'd just like to give an example. So, because I was going to Uganda, a church sister didn't have where to stay, so she told me, Moses, I'd like to come and stay at yours. I said, oh well, my place is fine. Talked to my housemates, came. A church brother came to visit her. Why did he come to visit her? Because he thought I was sleeping with her. How do we have such idiots in our church? This is what we have with Christian brothers, right? So he came, he was like, oh, I need to come and see where she's staying. Okay. Then he asked her, okay, are you and Moses in a relationship? Like, what kind of idiot are you? Instead of praying for a sister, she has come to me for help. She didn't trust you enough to ask for help. Now she has asked for help. I'm outside, I'm in Uganda, she's here, you're stressing her. I told him, never come to my place without asking for my permission. You're my brother, right, but here you cross the line, right? You cannot just come. Right. This is not your house. This is my house. Right. I have a guest inside here. Number one, you didn't respect privacy, you didn't respect all these other things. And this is what happens. We don't even trust our fellow brothers. Now, if you do not trust me to take care of someone, do you actually trust yourself? I think we need to...
We need to do better. You need to do better.
We need to do better. But anyways, I'm sorry for ending up like that.
No problem. Thank you, Moses. I appreciate you.
Okay. I hope
love you. I'm taking you off screen.
Love you.
Say bye to your people because you're about to go off screen and then I'm going to close. Okay?
Okay, cool. Leila is telling me, I told you to prepare Papa. Leila, I love you. Bupe, I love you. From Zambia. Yes, I see. Moira, thank you. Suzio, my mother was here, guys. My mother was listening to what I was saying. But anyways, I love you too, Mommy. Benny, I love you, you know. And yes, I forgot to say happy Father's Day to the genuine men. Happy Father's Day to Olivier. Happy Father's Day to Benny. You guys are the real deal. I called Olivier. I told him I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate what you're doing with your wife. And Benny, in this forum, you are a good man. You're a good father. So I appreciate all you've done. So thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, and
Thanks,
Leila,
Moses.
yes, Leila, I knew, yes, my brother-in-law is taking care of you. I know he's taking care of you. So happy Father's Day to him also. Moira
Thanks.
and the rest of you guys, I love you. So that's all I can say.
Thanks,
Yep,
Moses. Bye. I'll
you
catch
are
you just now.
okay. I feel like I've been doing an interview, but yes, I'll see you.
Bye. Thank you guys so much. I know we've gone a little bit over time. The topic was very, very important. I really hope that you've learned something. I also know that for a lot of my sisters out there, what you get to see is something that's horrific. But I assure you, there are good men out there that are doing right, that are doing the Bible right, that are doing the word right. Because I also know that a lot of people have been hurt by the church. I'm aware of that as well. And I think what's important is that you also get to see a different version of what the church looks like, and one that is not shying away. There are people that don't shy away from speaking the truth, because everything that we do in life, especially as a Christian, is for an audience of one, and wrong is wrong. And we have a responsibility to call out what is wrong and not cover it up and try and glorify it or weaponize the Bible, because that's not the kind of God we serve. So thank you so much for being with me. If you have any questions, hit me up in the DMs, or if you want anything else spoken about along this particular line, if there's something you're like, Suze, I'm thinking about it, can you put it up so that we can find somebody to discuss about it? More than happy to find somebody. But I know that there are good men out there, wonderful men that are out there. So Charlie, Olivier, Benny, Moira, where's that handsome husband of yours? I hope Bruce was watching this as well. To all the good men out there, thank you for showing up. Please know that we need allies in this fight. We need your voices. We need you to speak up. We need you to show your other brothers a different way, and you need to show women what good looks like. It's important. So guys, thank you so much for being with me. I know I've taken so much of your time, but I love and I appreciate you, and I'll catch you guys next week. And stay safe and be blessed. Bye.